Hey, everybody. Welcome back to The Collective. We have another fantastic show for you planned out today. Travis, always good to have you back. New face, Audrey's going to be joining us. Very excited for that. And now, as I go through this, obviously, I want you to do something too. Like the show, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, do all of that good stuff so you get your emails whenever we go live, which is, of course, every day. If you have any thoughts, questions, comments, by all means, put them up in the comment section and we will engage those directly as we go through the show. And other than that, I'm excited. So, Audrey, why don't you hit us up with 30, 45 seconds, give us a quick background, and then we will dive into the conversation.
All right. Hey, I'm Audrey Andrade on Instagram and all my socials, otherwise known as Wellness Audrey. I'm a United States Navy vet. I graduated the United States Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland, 2015. Did 7.5 years in the service. And I was as Navy as you can get. I was stationed on 2 ships and then did 1 shore duty in Camp Lejeune in North Carolina. And then shortly after that, I separated from the Navy September last year. So a little over a year now out as a regular person in real life. I'm a nutrition coach, CPT, and content creator. So I'm really excited to join here today on The Collective.
It's going to be a good convo. I'm looking forward to it. So we're going to talk tools to success. And this, as Travis alluded to before we got started, tools to success. I had a previous podcast called Tools for the Toolbox, so I am down for this conversation. I'm ready for it. There's no real definition. I've been trying to find a definition of like what is the tool for success, as in a definition of it. But I think the real key here is that they're all going to be different for each person. So I'm going to ask you guys. I'm going to start with Travis right off the bat. When you hear the concept tool to success, what's your first thoughts, Travis?
Well, honestly, when I first heard about tools and vices, I got really excited because I'm thinking about my shop. I got a new belt grinder coming in and some new vices, but I realized it was VICES, not VISES, and had to completely reframe what I was going to be talking about here. I thought a little off topic for the collective, but hey, it could be fun. Tools for success. I've been vocal about the fact that diagnosed ADHD at an early age. Few other things, but growing up, I've had to really identify in myself where my vices are and how I can employ different tools to make myself better or to be able to succeed in whatever industry I want to be in. So I created a list of a bunch of different tools that I'll use and how I employ them, but maybe we get into that a little bit later. My thought is just employing different pragmatic practices that will help you reach whatever your worthy ideal is that you're trying to reach. So that's what a tool for success for myself would be.
I like it. Audrey, what are your initial thoughts?
Initial thought would be something that you do every single day. And it's something that you carry with you literally daily. And if you're not doing something to help you succeed every single day, even if it's small, even if it's a really minor thing that you do, it's something that you do consistently. Consistency as the basis.
I like it. Shaun, what are your initial thoughts?
Well, first things first, the moment that I heard someone is a content creator, I thought, wow, awesome. Maybe there's going to be some pro tips in this because I desperately need some. So I think the first thing I'd like to suggest is there's all kinds of tools. To Travis's point, there are vices in workshops and there are vices in life. And the tools that we choose in our lives could be random. They could be well thought out. The tools are the tools, but that's got no bearing on success until you understand what success means to you. And so you can buy all the Snap-on tools in the world, and at the end of the day, you've got a garage full of tools, but you're no further ahead in success. And so I know it gets a bit wearisome when I boringly repeat my same routine, but it is this. You got to know your why. You got to sit down and figure out your why. What your why of success, your why of life, your all the whys. But you can't plan to buy a tool to become successful. You can't adopt a tool to become successful until you know how to spell success. And it's spelled with 2 C's and 2 S's. And you'll know that if you sit down and deeply think about success on a piece of paper with a pen and illustrate to yourself what success means to you, not to your neighbor, not to your family, but to you. Maybe it aligns with your family and maybe it doesn't. But before you start an inch of effort, you got to understand what success means to you.
That is a great point. There are actually 3 S's in success, but as a side point, just had to point that out. Now, the question I wanted to ask right off the bat, and you're absolutely right, and it actually alludes to my initial concept here, is that I'm going to pull this up right now. The definition of success is a favorable or desired outcome. So whatever it is that you want, your why, whatever it is you want to do, you need to be able to understand what those tools that if I wanted to build a table, do I actually need a vise? That's a great question, right? Can you build a table by hand? Can you build it with a machine? Can you build it blah, 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 all these things. So I want to ask you guys specifically, when you first started to see the successes that you wanted to see, if you understand my meaning here, and when the recognition of those tools kind of, oh, I've been using X, Y, and Z to get me here, that type of moment, I'm wondering what those things were and where they came from. So, Shaun, I'm going to hit you first because you look like you understand what I'm talking about. So I want to make sure.
I do.
Okay, good.
But I'd like to get in front of it before I provide my opinion on your question and just state that I'm just another guy who doesn't have a whole lot of things figured out himself. And so tools to success, well, sometimes I guess I've been successful in certain trajectories and I didn't even know I was being successful. Other people would tell me, dude, you're really successful, or that was successful, or how are you so successful? But in my head, I categorize it as, what are you even talking about? I'm just trying to figure this out. I'm still screwing things up. I'm only halfway there. These are the kind of things that I state in my head. So to pursue success and then to understand that you're having success, those are 2 different things. And sometimes that takes a cold eye review or takes an external individual or external circumstance to help you understand that you are seeing some success, even though you don't see it yourself. So that's the first thing that I'd like to throw out. On success and how to pursue success or start accomplishing or maybe stacking up success, I think the word itself is a bit misleading because I think maybe we're talking about success as an isolated incident or a isolated case where someone works on a trajectory and gets to the outcome of that trajectory and voila, they have success. And that process could take a day or it could take a year. But I'm suggesting that success is a lifetime trajectory. So you can have many successes and failures throughout your life, but I view success as a stacked or multi-decade level of success. So if you go to the Olympics and you get yourself a big old gold medal hung around your neck, congratulations. You were successful in the trajectory that you'd set for yourself. But I don't consider an Olympic medal as you're now successful. I just consider it as another moment in time that is on a stack or on a pile of maybe wins or losses that I'll evaluate over a decades and decades timeline rather than just that day. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. Audrey, you got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so success to me is internal satisfaction, and it's not a comparison between what you have and what someone else has. It is, are you actually doing the things that you want to be doing on a daily basis? Not oh, I want to be able to do this in 5 years. Are you happy and content now? Are you doing the things that set you up for success now, even if the little things that you're doing aren't extremely fun? Maybe they're even a little tedious, but are they like this trajectory? Are they putting you on this success trajectory? And are you okay with being on the journey to success? And are you okay with looking at that journey as success itself? The fact that you're even on the path, because so many of us can stumble off the path doing things to impress people or for that external thinking, oh, you know, so-and-so in my life is going to be very pleased that I'm doing this. But if you're not actually doing what you want to be doing, then, you know, there's no, what's the point? Well, why are you even doing what you're doing if it's not even what you want?
Yeah, absolutely. Travis, anything to add?
Yeah, I think that Audrey's hitting on that whole why that Shaun was talking about before. Earl Nightingale would define success as the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. It's the janitor that loves being a janitor and wants to be a better janitor every single day and works towards that worthy ideal. It's a school teacher who loves teaching kids and is constantly bettering themselves to be the best school teacher that they can be. And I think if we really fine tune what our why is and make that a grand North Star that you can shoot towards, as opposed to my why is to make X amount by the end of the year, which is a good goal to set, but I don't think that's your why. If your why is something that you can live by and you can measure yourself by and you can set different, it makes your decision branching tree very easy. Does this fall into my why? Yes or no? If the answer is no, then I guess I don't have to deal with it right now. I can take the one that says yes and work towards that. So, and when Shaun is talking about having all of the snap-on tools, or Chance, when you mentioned, you know, trying different things out and seeing kind of what worked, if you can get to that why, you can then purchase the proper tools. If I want to rebuild an engine, I'm going to get engine-specific tools, rather than buying a bunch of tools and eventually finding out what, oh, that kind of worked for me or that didn't. It really will shortcut those tools for you if you can identify that why. Now, I love tools and I love kit, I love gear, right? But all the tools and all the gear in the world isn't going to make me a better hunter, hiker, outdoorsman, craftsman until I can really fine tune that why. And in fact, what I really like is the minimalistic approach to what's the minimal amount of gear that I need to be able to go out and affect my why in the most effective way. So if I am going out hunting, do I need all of this extra gear around me that the internet or Instagram influencers say that I need? Well, maybe not. Maybe I go out there and I find exactly what it is I need and work my way backwards on that. In that happy part that Audrey said, I think that is so important. And the best way that I find that I'm able to personally do that is by exercising gratitude on a daily basis, looking at what I'm grateful for, and then measure that against what my progressive realization of a worthy ideal, whatever that worthy ideal is, and just employ gratitude, work towards the worthy ideal.
I like that. Shaun, look like you got something boiling in the top of your head there.
Always. And it's boiling, baby. So something that has, right from the get-go, I've been chewing on with Audrey and being a content creator. And she stated that she's looking for ways to seek success within her life, find the things that make her happy, stay on a path that best suits her purposes, etc. However, that's a bit of a conflict between living your own best authentic life while creating content for the world around you that is going to validate your life to some degree. Now, whether Audrey cares or not, whether they're validating her life or not, or clicking or liking or following or unfollowing, you know, that's an entirely different conversation. But the fact remains that by putting content out, which we all do, we're not just doing it for ourselves. Otherwise, we'd be writing in our freaky little journal that never comes out of our bedside table. So tools to success. Let's talk about content creation for a sec. I consider it successful if I've helped someone rather than helping myself. My content is not for me. I walk two paths. I walk Shaun's path, and then I walk a path for the collective. Shaun's path is much wider from left to right. My life trajectory is much wider than my social media path. My social media path is much narrower, but I'm trying to choose the right narrow path from my much broader trajectory life path, that I can add something out there for content that is helpful to others. So tools to success. Well, I'm talking about two successful points now. I'm talking about Shaun trying to live his best life and become all that he can be towards success, whatever that means, while simultaneously I'm considering the collective's needs and how to make the collective successful. So in effect, I'm trying to achieve success through the proxy of an external agency called the collective, while still trying to live a broader life of success. So social media content creation and my life's creation are two different things. However, they are on similar trajectories, and I wouldn't mind talking about that just for a few minutes, if you don't mind.
For sure. Audrey, you got some thoughts on that?
Yeah, so you're right. When it comes to content creation, you aren't just the face and the tips and tricks that you share with social media with your followers. You're so much more than that. That's why, a lot of the content I create, every human has their own depth and has so many different corners of themselves. So often, I'll give ways for you to just make your own life better. As in, like, if you feel mentally and physically and spiritually well, you're going to be making better decisions in your life. And that's why, I am a content creator. I want people to feel healthy in their bodies, because if you don't feel healthy in your body, that's the first step, right? If you're feeling sick all the time, low energy, how are you supposed to focus on serving others? Because at the end of the day, all of us are here to serve a greater purpose. And if we're just out to serve ourselves, how are we making the world a better place? Or even if it's just a better place for our families and friends. So that's why I personally content create. I want people to feel good in their own bodies so that they can show up as their best selves. So yeah, so so in regards to content creation, yes, you're right. It's different. Like I'm not just, wellness Audrey, right? I am, I'm into technical writing. I'm into vampires and werewolves, but you're right. The content creation path is so much narrower because you're focusing on, something specific, just to help your audience and better their lives in a specific way.
Yeah, absolutely. Travis, you got any thoughts on this?
Yeah, two. One, I think Shaun said he wanted to talk about something, and then we just cut away from him, but I'm sure we'll pick him up here in a second. But Shaun says, helping somebody else, and that's how he helps measure it. I think for me, that plays into the gratitude, being grateful. But that's sort of the key that I found in working with others who are very successful, is they put their ego at bay and they put their self second. And they look at whatever their end outcome is going to be as their driving force. For example, if you want to be successful in business and you view money as a metric for success in your business, and you chase that money, you're always going to be behind the money and you're always going to be chasing it. But like Audrey, if you value wellness and you want to bring value to the people, to your audience, to the end user, and you chase bringing that value, money will be a natural byproduct of the hard work and effort that you're putting out there. So by putting yourself second and your worthy ideal first, you're going to find that you reap the benefits of success in a multitude of ways. way more so than if you put money or whatever it might be as your primary success. And I see that time and time again with people, and they get into things for the right reasons, and they realize they need to make money, and they realize they need these other little metrics to help keep the machine rolling, but they lose sight of why it is that they're doing it. So your social media following will grow because people will find value in what you're doing. Your business will grow. You will grow personally because you'll have interactions with other individuals that are meaningful to you, that'll help you grow and maybe change perspective of yourself and others. And when it comes down to creating things for other people and not just writing it away in the journal that's in your bedside drawer, you put yourself out there. And it's important, if you start looking at the likes and the dislikes and you start adjusting your efforts and your work that goes out in order to maximize those likes, you may end up finding that you start moving away from whatever trajectory it was that you originally started working towards. If you put value in those likes, it means you're probably going to put equal value in the dislikes, which can be very difficult. So I think it's important that somebody identifies their why, and they identify a group around them that they value their opinions. And that way, if they're going off course, those opinions of others that you value are the ones you listen to, not the masses.
I like it. Shaun, where are you going with this one?
So I was, this is quite coincidental that we're talking about this topic precisely now, because this morning I just got a DM from a guy who's been following me for quite a while. He'll remain nameless. And what he'd said to me was, and I'll state it briefly, how much he appreciates the content that I put out, and that he just wishes I would be more, and I'm paraphrasing now, he wishes I would be more personal, or I would expose more of my personal life, or he would like to get to know me a little bit better at a personal level. He feels that there's a number of people that would appreciate that as well. And so, as everyone knows, I'm still trying to figure out this whole social media thing, and I'm still trying to do my best. And I've come a long way, but I know I've got a long way to go. So, two things that I'd like to state on this. First of all, for anyone out there who's considering using social media as a tool to help improve success. Now, this is not improving my success. In fact, it's a bit of a detractor to me. I could be spending my time doing other things that I would maybe feel like I'm having more success in a monetary way, or having more success in a business way. So I could easily take all of this time that I add to social media, redirect it in an entirely different trajectory, and I could turn that into a feeling of success. But that would be for me to adjust my definition of what success is. And whether that would feel authentic to me or not is hard to say, because I'm not making that adjustment. I'm on the trajectory that I'm on right now because it feels right to me, that I'm feeling successful in the content that I'm putting out because it's helping people. And so the feedback loops that I get keep encouraging me to do more, be more, give more, because people are gaining from it. And so the feedback loop for me is I get a sense of successful interaction with other human beings in making their lives better. So I suppose that is my yardstick or metric of success, in that I'm helping more people. But that doesn't improve my bank account. In fact, quite the opposite. It makes my bank account go down instead of go up, because of course this is all volunteer based. So the tools to success are kind of defined by ourselves, but they're also defined by the community around us. So to my point now, the message that I got this morning from this individual said, hey, I think a bunch of us would like to hear and see more of kind of your the collective life, as it were. And so this morning, I put up a post on Instagram just before I went into my own live IG chat, and then over here. And it was just a photo of Doreen and I on a ferry on the Upper Arrow Lakes crossing. And we just spent nearly 5 days on the road doing some mountain bike riding, shredding up in Revelstoke. And it's been a while since we did one of those little trips where we just started kicking that ass day after day in a different town, in a different way, a new experience, a new adventure. And so it was a lot of fun, and we both realized how much we miss it. We've both traveled to over 40 countries, and we've done some interesting things in our lives. But over the last couple of years, we've kind of reeled things in or dialed things back as our two sons head off to university and et cetera. But we're now at a point after this last 5 days where we're starting to think, let's increase our travel. And we talked about anywhere from 6 to 10 trips per year, where it'd be little mini vacations, little 4 to 5 day trips in different towns across North America, and then probably a couple of international trips like we're doing at the end of October to Australia and et cetera. So I'm going to be traveling more, and I want to figure out a way to be of help to the collective, to put out content that is of benefit, not to me. Otherwise, I wouldn't have a social media account if it was just for Shaun. I got to figure out a way to use this travel so that it's of benefit to others. So in my post this morning, I put out as the final paragraph, hey, listen, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this. I could turn it into a travel vlog. I could turn it into a random interview with strangers on the sidewalk, or I could just treat it as a blank slate. And how about y'all let me know what I should do with these travel opportunities that is a benefit to y'all. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks. Now, like half a year ago, I would never say that. Just drop me your comments. Like, that is a totally foreign phrase to me. But in the tools to success, for me, I've established that my success metric is by helping more people, which means I've got to communicate with more people, which means I've got to interact with, hey, just drop me all your comments, which it drives me crazy that I got to say these kind of things because it feels artificial to me that I'm using the content creator lingo. But I got to get right with the program. I got to get right with the fact that I'm not trying to content create. I'm just trying to be helpful. That's how I've got to spit it in my head. Is I'm not creating content, I'm putting out helpful content. So my tool to success is using the right lingo in Shaun's head to use the right lingo out there on social media. I hope that makes sense.
I think so. It kind of goes back to Travis, you said earlier something about progressive realization, right? You want to help one person, and then you get feedback that says, hey, somebody says, hey, you've helped me. I really appreciate it. Is there more you can do? And you're like, well, yeah, I can do more. And so now you're helping others, which helps yourself because you like helping others. You want to be able to use the skill set you have. That then translates back into helping more people because now you're getting feedback that you're helping people. So you're getting this progressive realization. At least this is the way I read into it. Travis, is that about what you were talking about?
I guess similar. It's funny, the more successful people that I speak with and interact with, the more esoteric their definition of success becomes. When I first started business, I needed a business bank account because that's what businesses have. And I had all these little goals. I was in my mid-late teens, early 20s when I'm doing this, and I was just floundering or foundering. Apparently, they're both correct terms. But in hindsight, like if I want to build what I have now, I can do it in a week. But it's taken me 25 years in order to get where I am now. You need to have these little steps that you work through and these failures that we talked about earlier, which I view failures as stepping stones to success. Every time you don't do well at something, I regroup, I analyze, and I see why that might be. But I also don't think that success in one area has to mean a lack of success in another area. The two aren't necessarily mutually exclusive. For example, if a bank account is lower because time is being spent on others to assist them to get to a higher place, and maybe if that bank account was higher, you'd be able to get towards more people. Or if the follower count was higher, the shares would be higher. So writing that, I guess, business plan for yourself. And I remember I caught a little bit of heat for this years ago when I was talking to my wife. I said, we should make a business plan for the kids, right? Just some sort of a plan for success that we will see in ourselves and our family. And she's like, that's really heartless, putting together a plan for the family. I said, I don't know. Like, what's more heartless? Having no plan at all and just letting chance take it, right? So if we want to see certain things within ourselves and our family, we have to make sure that we plan it accordingly. And if the bank account is one thing that's going to help the growth of the collective, then we can't be shy about that ask either. We have to be able to ask people, like, comment, subscribe. They can get their merch, collective merch right now. We got the Do Your Best mugs on the website. But it doesn't necessarily also have to come from the audience. Have you guys heard of the King of Cancer? Or the King of Chemo, King of Cancer? I'm not sure which one he goes by. Fellow out of Ireland. He's got brain cancer, terminal. And he says, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to raise so much awareness and so many eyes on what I'm doing. I'm going to amass so many followers. I'm not asking for 1 cent from anybody who's following me, but I want to bring awareness to cancer and to this positivity and this journey that I'm going through, that so many people are following, that corporate sponsors will benefit by those eyes being on there. So he asked for nothing from everybody that's following, but corporate sponsors will take a look and say, geez, if only we could be behind this, if only we could have our name mentioned in this. So there are ways that we can reach success by helping others and doing what it is we love without necessarily, it continues to build upon itself, I guess would be the best way to put it. Had a couple other notes here, but I think from the more esoteric side of success that we've been talking about, it's going to be illusory to individuals who are just starting down the path because they want key things that they can take away. What can I do exactly right now that I can work with to help me up my game a little bit further? And I've got a number of notes on that we can get into afterwards too.
For sure. And I would have to say, please don't plan on me taking care of your family. Don't leave it to chance. Like, not a great plan.
Okay, rewrite that business plan.
Audrey, you got any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I really liked what Travis had to say. Kind of made me think of growth and discomfort and getting comfortable with the idea of being uncomfortable. Just because, if you're not growing in some capacity, are you on the journey to your own version of success? And kind of bringing social media back into it. I personally don't really, I prefer to be a listener than a talker. So honestly, content creation and all this it sometimes it feels very uncomfortable, but I do it because I know it helps people. It makes them feel like they have power in their hands and that they can really, they have way more power than they think they do. Because so many people just go through the motions and think, oh, my life's just happening. I have no control. I just have to deal with it. Whereas, you change one thing in your day and one change leads to another. And next thing you know, you have a different life if you keep it up, So that is one thing, is just growth in discomfort, even if it's just a minor annoyance, and is a huge indicator that, you're improving as a person. And because if you're not trying to improve in some way, how are you making this place better for your family, better for your children, or if you're like me, better for your dogs. I try to do one thing that makes me a little uncomfortable, whether that's pushing extra during my workout, or while I'm rolling out jujitsu, or or making a video, or going on a podcast where I actually have to talk. So, it's really the little things that make you grow as a person, to make you be the person worthy of the success that you want.
Absolutely. Shaun, you got any thoughts?
Well, Travis had talked about being the best janitor in the world for yourself, or for I was imagining a school hallway for the school, as it were. And so what's the tools to success? Well, it's probably the same tool that everyone should grab first of all, and that's the freaking broom. Go grab a broom or go grab a mop and get to work. Like the non-sexy stuff, we're talking about tools to success. And I think that there's probably a handful of folks out there that would immediately flash in their head the titanium spanner or the unobtainium screwdriver or the laser alignment device that Snap-on Tools sells. Those aren't the tools that you should be imagining when you're seeking success in day one. Go grab a mop and get to work for about 2.5 years until you wear that mop out, and then grab another one, because that's the way of life. Life is a lot of mopping floors. Life is a lot of hard work that no one gets to see. Life is can be drudgery sometimes as you're mopping your way to success. But it's only drudgery if that's the lie you tell yourself. So you can turn a mop into a fun game. You could turn a mop into a martial art. You could do lots of things with a mop if you want to. If you want to create success within success, or as I like to think of it, create a game within the game. If your game is being a janitor and mopping for a few years, find a way to gamify it. Like Travis said, become the best janitor in the world, for sure. But along the way, you've got to figure out how to be enjoying the successful motions in that path towards becoming the best janitor ever. And if you don't believe that you're the best janitor in the world, then that's one thing. But if you believe that you're not doing anything to become the best janitor in the world, well, that's an entirely different thing. So you can believe that you'll never achieve it. Cool. But if you're believing that you're not going to achieve it because you're not doing anything about it, oh, that's the problem as I see it. So tools to success, grab a mop and start believing that you're going to become the best janitor in the world. That would be my advice.
I like that, actually. And one of the great pieces of the analogy of grabbing a mop and mopping a school hallway is that in 30 minutes, when class gets out, that floor is going to be dirty again, and you're going to have to mop it again, and you're going to have to mop it again and again and again. And there's a lot of time that can be spent on complaint about that, but that's the job. That's part of the job, is the fact that you have to consistently do these things over and over and over and over again. Similar to the collective, right? We're here every day. We're doing live shows. I'm scheduling people regularly, and I could make that a drudgery thing. I could be, oh God, I gotta go schedule some more people, and now I gotta go talk to that person or whatever. Versus I've turned that into a game. Like, who can I talk to next? Who can I get to talk to their friend, to talk to their friend, to talk to their friend, to get them on the show at a certain time, right? So I think it's a great point in the fact that it really does, it's very specific to what it is we are doing, but at the same time, understanding that you're going to have to do it over and over and over and over and over again. That's just a side point on that one. Travis, you look like you're writing some notes down. What do you got?
Oh, I got tons of notes. I've had people say that I'm a really lucky guy. And it's funny, the harder I work, the luckier I tend to get. People don't look and see all the hard work that somebody has to put in to get to a certain point. They don't see the countless wakeless hours and the grind that goes. They just see the end result and they're like, oh, I want to be there. So when Shaun says grab a mop, I like that, because that says two things to me. It says, yes, there's going to be hard work, and expect there to be hard work to be put in. But it also, so often people are looking for just the perfect environment for them to be motivated so they can create content, or they can go and do the next thing, and they can just start the process. And they're waiting. They got to have all the ducks align and everything to kind of come into place, when in fact, all you have to do is grab that mop. The best way to be motivated and get motivated is just to start, especially when you're completely not motivated. If you get out there on the road and you get on the bike and you don't feel like riding your bike on that day, but you need the exercise, or you'll be better for it, within about 10 minutes of being on that bike, you're probably thinking to yourself, man, I'm glad I did this. I'm glad I got into it, or going out on a run. So don't wait for that perfect moment. Start now. And enjoying that process goes back to gratitude to me. My daughter wants to be a doctor. She's in grade 11 right now. She's wanted to be a doctor since elementary school. She gets straight A's. She dances ever since she's been about 2 years old. She's been dancing. Now she dances almost every single day of the week, and competitive in ballet and jazz and modern and lyrical and all these other things. And she volunteers, and she's getting all of this stuff together so she can be a doctor. And I ask her, why do you want to be a doctor? I'd really like to do it. And all the reasons why. I said, well, if I were you, I'd highly, strongly recommend that you concentrate on those whys as to why you want to be a doctor, because I can tell you, you're going to be very disappointed if you reach your end goal of being a doctor and you didn't enjoy the process throughout, because you're going to get there and be like, now what? Now what do I do? But if you have that why, you're doing it because you want to help others, you want to be of service, all the rest, that will carry you through till your end of days. So yeah, grab a mop. I like it.
Grab a mop. I like it. Audrey, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, the term, the harder I work, the luckier I get, that really rings true. Just because, when I was at the Naval Academy, people made fun of me because I was overweight. I was the slowest in the running group. I just wasn't fast. I didn't get recruited for my athletic abilities. I just worked really hard to get in. And now it's like I get people asking, how should like asking me about meal plans, asking me, what is a good workout regimen and this, that, and the other. And, it's like, if you're, not all about the grind and the everyday, how are you going to expect the end result that goes with it? I'll give an example. I always admire when people are very handy or fixing things, but I'm never going to do the work to learn it. But I'm always impressed. So, I should never expect to be super handy and be able to fix a car or fix something that breaks in the house. So, make your own luck, make your own, make your own luck. Don't let your life fall into Chance's hands.
I'll mess it up 100%.
I really love that term. Harder to work, the luckier I get. Don't expect an audience to appreciate all the hard work you do as well. Do the work for yourself. If you're not doing it for yourself, then it's going to fail.
I like it. Shaun, what are you thinking?
Several things. First things first, for Trav and his daughter, I think you already know that our oldest son is in second year engineering and our youngest son is in first year rural pre-medicine. And so the funny part about it is that our oldest, Evan, was whining, complaining about how heavy his workload is in engineering. And that was when his younger brother, Keegan, was in grade 12, where his workload was super easy. And both boys are really smart, A pluses. They're on the dean's list. They're, double language, blah, 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 whatever, honor roll. And so through that process, the oldest laughing at the youngest about, you just wait until you start rural pre-med. Well, guess what? The youngest is now getting a wake-up call, because he's on about 80 hours per week of workload. Yeah, and it is not easy workload, So now my oldest is laughing at my youngest because the youngest was laughing at the oldest on his workload. And so this is life, man. Our workloads, we all self-select. Our youngest could say, I don't want to be a doctor. I don't understand my why. I don't like working hard. I'm out of here. I'm going to go camping for the rest of my life. And so both boys understand their why they're in the game. And therefore, they're finding it easier to engage in the, to some degree, hellacious workload that they're now facing. Well, congratulations. that's a tool to success. The growth mindset, the adversity, the learning how to blah blah blah, all of this stuff. And so they're in their own little path right now. But all along the way, from the time they've been knee high to right now, they've been primed for that. Just like Trav, just like you are with your daughter. You're priming your daughter for success. That's our job as parents. But that's also our job as humans. That's really why we're doing the collective. It's not that I'm trying to parent anyone. I'm just trying to act as if I'm trying to be helpful to a large or an extended family with the things that I've learned over the years. Now, what's one of the things that I've learned over the years? Travis is a element of that. So Trav was one of the first podcasts I was ever on, and now I'm probably coming up on 600 podcasts, which is redonkulous. But Travis showed up at our house, was setting up a podcast setup in our kitchen. And you know what Travis never said the entire time that he was here was, it must be lucky to be you. Because as he was looking around, I'm pretty sure he had a sense of what it takes to get to where we're at. And we kind of talked about that a little bit. We didn't make it a big deal, but Travis noted what was going on in our household, but he never ever said, geez, you're so lucky. Because he understands what it takes to get to where we're at, because he's had to do that same path himself to see some level of success, whatever success means to everyone out there. I feel that we've lived a reasonably successful life in context of not anyone else, not to my neighbors, not to anyone halfway around the world, but my sense of success is contextualized against young Shaun when I was 20, when I was 15, when I was 30, when I was 40, when I was 50. Now that I'm 60, I understand that I'm not lucky to have what I have, but I suppose luck does play a small element in it. So I've worked hard to reduce the luck in my life.
I can't remember who said it. Somebody on the show at one point said, I think it might have been Travis, that it takes 10 years to become an overnight success, right? And I think I can't remember who said it, but it was such a great point. And it's been swimming in my mind as we've been talking about this, and that from the outside, it's that whole iceberg picture in your that people have on posters and things like that. It was the fact that, what's actually seen by others is the tip, just the little bit. They see all of a sudden somebody puts in when we're talking about like content creation, somebody puts out a reel and it goes friggin' viral, right? They don't see the 3, 4, 5, 6, sometimes 10 years worth of work, worth of content creation, worth of development, worth of coming up with ideas and doing all the stuff and doing all the sitting on your phone for hours a day just trying to figure out what it is that needs to be done to get that reel to hit all the markers. And I have this little saying running through my head, is that I think a lot of people see the win, but they don't actually see any of the work because no one's looking for the work. And when the people that do look for the work, those are the people that see the effort. Those are the people that see the daily grind. Those are the people that see all of the tools that are being used to gain success without, and they're usually the ones at the finish line clapping, whereas everybody else is making all kinds of noise. So the question I have for you guys, and I know Shaun and I, I've talked about this before, but I want to hit Travis's point and Audrey's thought on this, is that from the outside, you get a new laser on your pistol, right? Or you get a new fangled, you get a new mop, Radmaster 9000, that'll help you clean the floors that much faster, right? But those things are only useful once you've done all the work in order to gain them. But there are specific things that allow you to do better once you've attained the level of mastery that you would need to use that mop at the right moment. So I'm wondering if there are any tools that you've hit on that you've maybe even stumbled upon or have worked at in order to get you to that next level, in order to get out of the plateau or get beyond where you are right now. I'm going to start with Travis. What do you think?
A couple things come to mind. Yes. We run different courses, like handgun 1, handgun 2, handgun 3. And oftentimes people say, I'm already good with my pistol. I want to shoot handgun level 3. I want to go into the high speed, low drag stuff. And what we have to tell these people and have them truly understand is if you want to be up here, you really have to master the level 1 things. You have to know how to walk. You have to know how to do that very, very well. And I'm sure Shaun JTF2 did some super high speed, low drag stuff, but there's probably a very large emphasis on just the basics, how to sort yourself out, how to make sure you're properly squared away on a daily basis so that that's just second nature to you. So you look at, we were talking about being a craftsman. Paul Sellers, he's a well-known carpenter, craftsman, woodworker, and he just uses chisels and hand planes and hand saws for everything. He doesn't need the Radmaster 5000 tools because he's achieved a mastery of the basics. And I think people should really, really understand that the fundamentals are called fundamentals for a reason. They have to be mastered. When we look at success, you look at people, Alan Watts, you may have heard of him. He's influential individual, now deceased, philosopher, great quotes, looks like he knows how to live a life well. A lot of people don't know he died at 56 and he was a raging alcoholic, and he may have died by his own hand. There's some speculation about that. Was he successful? Maybe. Some areas of his life. Maybe some other areas he had vices which were holding him back. So, to your point, Chance, when we talked about vices and tools, I looked at myself personally at different vices that somebody with ADHD will tend to have. There it is, impulsivity, procrastination, dopamine seeking. So that'd be adrenaline, could be sugar or alcohol. There's a number of other things that go with it. And what tools do I use to try and cope with that? Well, you've noticed I've been taking notes the entire time through. I realize my short-term memory isn't the best. My long-term memory, however, seems to be able to pick things out of the atmosphere. So I'll take notes as I go through, and I'll use the notes feature on my iPhone as a very successful tool for myself. I'll set alarms every day for all the different things that I have to do so I don't miss my appointments or miss what I have to do, and it aligns with my calendar. Body doubling, some people may have heard of this or not. It's a goofy ADHD thing, but sometimes you just need to have somebody beside you while you're doing work. And it sounds so ridiculous, but my wife, she's like, okay, not a problem. I will do the work of 10 people in a short period of time if somebody's there beside me. And every once in a while I'm bouncing things off or I'm working together, but now I'm on task and I'm doing what I have to do. I have different hobbies to stimulate creativity that are separate from my work, and a whole plethora of them. I like, when Audrey was saying, I recognize myself what I can and can't be, and craftsman might not be on the top of my list of what I want to be. You can actually be whatever you want. I was looking at content creation in particular. I use the Adobe Suite and a few other things, in DaVinci Resolve, Premiere Pro, After Effects, Photoshop, Lightroom, Adobe Audition, and this was all completely foreign to me. And about 3-4 years ago, I said, there's never in my life will I be able to learn that language. I'll never be able to understand that like these smart people. And finally, one day something clicked, and I said, you know what? I'm just going to get on YouTube and I'm going to do it. Similar chance to what you're doing with French. I don't know if you had that block in your head previously saying, man, I'm not going to learn French fluently. And now look at you. You're conversing to me in French, although my daughter did point out a few errors in it. But you're learning a brand new language at this stage in your life. I think those might be, here's a good one. Constantly assessing my life, who I'm surrounding myself with, doubling down on those who bring value, and I'm pulling the weeds. If there's people that are bringing me back or holding me back, I'm going to assess whether it's time to pull the weeds there. AI. I utilize AI. There's an app on my phone called Poe. It's constantly getting new things in there, but man, that sure helps shortcut different things in my life. And time appreciation. There's always going to be people who are looking for your time. being able to identify what's going to be of value, where you should be putting your time, is something that on a daily basis I'm taking note of. So those are a few of the practicable tools that I employ.
Absolutely. Audrey, what about yourself?
Yeah, for me, what I really like to do is just accomplish the low hanging fruit to feel accomplished. Just because sometimes you look at your to-do list and it seems so overwhelming. You just do the easy stuff first. Then, if you already feel accomplished, you're more likely to continue that path forward. And scheduling my day around my workout, because it really stimulates my mental and physical health. So if I make that my main priority for the day, everything else falls in order. I also minimize the decisions I make in a single day. Like, I typically eat the same thing most days of the week. It drives my husband nuts. But if you're, reducing that amount of decision fatigue, then, you can use that creativity on something else. Maybe that's right, maybe that's wrong, but it works really well for me because I do get overwhelmed very easily now that I'm out of the Navy. I was stressed and overwhelmed, and for about 7.5 years straight, it just never seemed to stop. So now that I make less decisions on a daily basis, it makes me feel a little more relaxed and in control. And I like that we're talking about vices as well. And so what I like is, I make my vices, right, a treat to look forward to, not necessarily as a daily habit. I really don't drink alcohol much, but once in a while, I'll have that margarita. And lastly, around Travis mentioned about hobbies to stimulate his creativity. I do something very similar. I make sure to accomplish my hobbies and passions as a way to feel fulfilled and stimulated every single day. Whether that's jujitsu, language learning, reading, writing, and when I prioritize all of those things, and I just let myself do one thing at a time, I feel like I'm ready to hit the next level of my own version of success. And again, like I said, I'm not very chatty. I try, and I'm working hard on, forming coherent sentences to people. I try to do things every day to, be a better version of myself, to communicate my message to others.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Shaun, what do you think?
Well, I like it because I'm just going to give one tool, because there's been so many tools just handed out by both guests, and I'm going to focus on one that should resonate with both guests, hopefully. And it comes courtesy of Travis, who probably knows because I've said it publicly a couple of times. But Travis was probably key to me being in front of a microphone today, because he encouraged me in a way that I required the encouragement at that time. And if he hadn't have given me that encouragement, I probably wouldn't be here. And I'm not going to say that I'm laying all of the successful decisions that Travis made on my behalf to help me pursue this podcasting thing, because there were others who also were integral to the early phase of this podcasting trajectory for me. But Travis certainly was one of the key guys. And how he created a successful path forward for me was twofold. One, I've already stated, he was encouraging. But he also, whether he knew it or not, he probably didn't know me well enough at the time. Maybe he just got lucky. That's a play on earlier in the podcast. maybe he just got lucky and he challenged me in a way that at the early phases, I was starting to whine a little bit, starting to do a little bit of moaning because I wasn't happy with the way things were going. I'm used to a ferocious pace, and I expect like changes, rapid changes, rapid evolutions, rapid improvements, and I wasn't seeing them. And it's because I was focused on things that were not in my control. I was trying to create photos that I didn't have the gear to get the photo. I was trying to create video and I didn't have video gear. I was trying to create etc. I didn't have a microphone. I didn't have a lot of things. And I was externalizing my problems through the other tools that would have made my life a whole lot easier. But that wasn't the problem. The problem was me. And Travis just said, figure out a way to get this thing going, figure out a way to make it bigger. Use your phone to shoot videos. Go out there and do ... And he didn't give me specifics. He just threw out a loose, stop your moaning and go kick ass. Now, he didn't phrase it that way. He said it very nicely. He said it in a way that he may not have understood at the time. It was just me hearing the paraphrase, stop your whining, Shaun, go kick that ass. That's what I took away from our conversations in the early days. Of course, there's more to it than that. But the tool to success for me was having a guy encourage me in the right way for Shaun. Not for the guy down the street, but for me. And whether Trav was lucky or not is immaterial. What he did was keep me in front of a microphone, as others did as well. So one of my tools to create success in others now is to understand that just a bit of encouragement can go a long way in these early phases of the go grab a mop and start mopping that hallway. I hope that makes sense.
The one thing that I just want to add on to that is that it takes almost nothing to say, hey, good job mopping, right? And that little bit of encouragement can do a lot for a lot of people. So by all means, encourage others around you. Now we are over an hour now for sure. Fantastic conversation. I do really enjoyed Audrey. Thank you so much. Travis, really appreciate the convo. Shaun, always good. We have covered a ton of stuff. I have a lot of notes. trying to say that without swearing, so I'm just going to say a lot of notes. Any final thoughts? Let's go down the list. Anything at all on tools to success or anything we've gone over? Travis, anything at all?
No, not without taking this much longer. I think everyone's got some great points in here. I'm taking away a lot out of this. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Audrey, any final thoughts?
No final thoughts. Just live your dream every day.
Live that
World
dream.
peace.
Shaun, final thoughts?
No, I don't think I have too much more to add because, as Trav said, we would be going on for another couple of hours, I feel. And to Audrey, I agree with your closing statement. So there's nothing more I can add to your closer. So thanks for being here today.
Absolutely. It has been a great conversation. I just wanted to add a little point of my own is that if you're not seeing success in your life right now and what it is that you want, something has to change. Something has to change because what you're doing right now is not leading towards success. So therefore, you're going to have to change something. And that is a entrance into the realm of betterment that everybody can get in front of. So absolutely understand what it is you want, understand yourself. It's going to take a little bit of work, but you can get there. And it all starts with learning. It all starts with building, and then it adds into growing things, and you can grow to the person you want to be, which is what we do here on The Collective. And you can do it with us every day. Talk to y'all tomorrow. Chimo.